Hey guys, Ken Boyd with the Accounting Accidentally website where you'll find over 500 blog posts, and if you scroll down to the middle of the page, you'll find over 400 links to my YouTube videos. So I wanted to talk about a recent blog post, Fail the CPA Exam Action Steps to Pass the Exam. CPA exam is very tough. I failed it more than once myself. And I wanted to talk about some steps to sort of get you back on track if you have not passed the exam after trying. And I refer to some videos to the Universal CPA Review, some context that I have there, and the videos they provide that provide some action steps to get you back on your feet. So let's take each of the 4 exams step by step. AUD or auditing. I think this test is the most difficult to study for, particularly if you took an undergraduate course from an instructor who doesn't have any auditing experience, because I think the only way to explain these concepts is through real life examples. And the example that I use is, what about internal controls when performing a physical inventory count? Well, unless you have actually done a count and seen what can go wrong in terms of controls, it's very difficult to explain it clearly. And I think that auditing textbooks, of all the texts that have to do with the CPA exam, auditing textbooks can be poorly written and not very useful. So what I suggest you need is a solid example for each auditing issue you face on the exam. And since we audit first by looking at all the balance sheet accounts, you need an example for the balance sheet accounts, cash, accounts receivable, inventory, etc. Now the exam pays heavy attention, heavy focus on internal controls and audit assertions like completeness, occurrence, cutoff, those things. Those are heavily tested. And finally, ask somebody who has auditing experience for their work examples. I found them to be really, really helpful when I was working in public accounting, and it helped me get through the exam. And people are willing to help you. Now, FAR, Financial Accounting and Reporting, is the biggest exam section. It requires the most number crunching, it requires the most study, and if you don't pass FAR, it's not a surprise. Keep in mind that all you need is a 75%, so there's some room for making some mistakes. You don't have to get a 90. So my suggestion here is plan out your studies time, focus on one module at a time. And when you're in a module, step back and think about how a particular topic fits into the set of financial statements. So for example, if you're studying treasury stock, that's in the equity section of the balance sheet. And if you can do that with each section as you study, you will start to get a picture of how things fit together. Don't lose the forest for the trees. Just take it one step at a time through FAR. Regulation REG, I think, is the technically most demanding test. It's really a business law and tax concept test largely. And if you didn't have a good business law class, I think test prep materials can help you overcome that. Tax, on the other hand, I think is the biggest study challenge for most exam candidates, particularly those who do not work in tax. Most of the tax questions are personal tax. So my suggestion here is you print out a copy of Form 1040, the personal return, and the supporting schedules. Schedule A for itemized deductions, B for interest and dividends, etc. And when you study a personal tax concept, find that concept on the tax forms. If, for example, you're answering a question about mortgage interest deductibility, find mortgage interest deduction on Schedule A and then glance at the 1040 to remind yourself where the itemized deductions are tested on Form 1040. And you're going to start again to visualize how all this stuff fits together. It was a huge hurdle for me that I didn't understand how things fit together when it came to taxes. Finally, BEC, or Business Environment Concepts. These are topics that business majors study, so management, economic, IT concepts. IT is becoming a bigger and bigger portion of the BEC exam. So to pass this section, you need to think like a business manager and think about the why behind each of the concepts. So for example, if you're studying liquidity ratios like the quick ratio and you're memorizing formulas, you need to also ask yourself, well, why should I care? And the point is, with liquidity, you need current assets sufficiently large enough to pay off current liabilities so you don't run short on cash, because if you're short on cash, you may have to raise capital by selling equity or borrowing money, and both of those are steps to avoid. So there is a why behind liquidity, which is why the current ratio, the quick ratio, and those other ratios are important. Finally, you've seen through here a lot of video links to Universal CPA Review. I think they have a great product that provides a visual learning platform, and if you're interested, you can use this code to get 20% off products through Universal CPA Review, which is one of my contacts. And remember, when you go over to Accounting Accidentally, we've got hundreds of blog posts and YouTube videos on accounting, and you'll see those in the middle of the page. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.